Faithfulness, the strength of commitment in our spiritual journey. Welcome back to our series on Introduction to the Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales. In our previous episode, we focused on the virtue of simplicity and how it helps us cultivate a heart focused on God. Today, we will explore the virtue of faithfulness. St. Francis de Sales teaches that faithfulness is a crucial aspect of our spiritual journey, allowing us to remain steadfast in our commitments and dedicated to our relationship with God. Let us dive into what faithfulness means and how we can nurture this virtue in our lives. Understanding faithfulness. Faithfulness is the quality of being loyal, steadfast, and true to our commitments. It involves remaining dedicated to God, to our relationships, and to the promises we make, regardless of the challenges we may face. St. Francis de Sales emphasizes that faithfulness reflects our love for God and our trust in His providence. Faithfulness is not simply a matter of being dutiful. It is rooted in love and trust. When we are faithful, we cultivate a deep and abiding relationship with God, knowing that He is always present and that His grace sustains us. For example, consider a priest who has committed himself to serving his parish community through thick and thin. Despite challenges such as lack of resources or difficult relationships, he remains faithful to his calling. His steadfastness becomes a source of strength and inspiration for those around him. The importance of faithfulness in our vocation. For those of us in religious life, faithfulness is essential for living out our vocation. St. Francis de Sales teaches that faithfulness helps us remain true to our commitments, even when faced with trials and temptations. It allows us to persevere in our mission, trusting that God is guiding us every step of the way. Faithfulness in our vocation means consistently living out our promises, whether it's in our prayer life, our relationship with others, or our service to the church. St. Francis de Sales reminds us that every act of faithfulness contributes to our growth in holiness and our witness to God's love. For example, think of a nun who dedicates her life to teaching in a challenging environment. She faces difficulties, but her faithfulness to her students and her mission inspires others to remain committed to their own callings, even when the going gets tough. The obstacles to faithfulness. While faithfulness is a beautiful virtue, there are obstacles that can make it difficult to practice. St. Francis de Sales identifies a few common challenges. Obstacle number 1: distractions and busyness. Distractions and the busyness of life can lead us away from our commitments. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to lose sight of what matters most and to become overwhelmed. St. Francis de Sales encourages us to simplify our lives and prioritize our commitments to God and others. Obstacle number 2: doubt and fear. Doubt and fear can challenge our faithfulness. When faced with difficulties, we may question our path or feel tempted to give up. St. Francis de Sales teaches us to anchor our faithfulness in God's promises, trusting that He will sustain us through every trial. Obstacle number 3, lack of support. A lack of support can make it harder to remain faithful. Sometimes we may feel isolated or alone in our commitments. St. Francis de Sales reminds us of the importance of community. Surrounding ourselves with supportive individuals can help us stay true to our promises and encourage us along the way. How to cultivate faithfulness? So, how can we actively cultivate faithfulness in our daily life? St. Francis de Sales offers several practical steps to help us grow in this virtue. Step number 1, daily reflection on commitments. Take time each day to reflect on your commitments. Consider your relationship with God, your vocation, and your responsibilities to others. Ask yourself how you can remain faithful to these commitments and seek God's grace to strengthen you in your efforts. Step number 2, pray for strength and guidance. Faithfulness is rooted in a deep relationship with God. So, spend time in prayer, asking God to help you remain steadfast in your commitments and to guide you in fulfilling His will. Step number 3, build a supportive community around you. Surround yourself with individuals who share your values and who encourage you in your journey of faithfulness. Share your struggles and victories with them, allowing them to hold you accountable and uplift you. The fruits of faithfulness. St. Francis de Sales teaches that cultivating faithfulness leads to greater peace, joy, and fulfillment in our spiritual journey. When we are faithful, we experience the joy of knowing that we are living according to God's will and that our efforts are bearing fruit. Faithfulness deepens our relationship with God and others, allowing us to live with a sense of purpose and meaning. It reminds us that every act of love and commitment contributes to the greater good, bringing us closer to the heart of God. In conclusion, faithfulness is an essential virtue for living a devout life. St. Francis de Sales invites us to embrace faithfulness as a way to remain steadfast in our commitments to God and to others. By reflecting on our commitments, praying for strength, and building a supportive community, we can grow in this vital virtue and experience the fullness of life that God has promised. As we conclude today's session, let's reflect on a few key takeaways about faithfulness. Number 1, faithfulness is loyalty and commitment. It involves remaining true to our promises and relationships, especially in our spiritual lives. Number 2, faithfulness enriches our vocation. It helps us serve others effectively and remain dedicated to our mission, even in challenging times. Number 3, recognize obstacles to faithfulness. Distractions, doubt, and lack of support can hinder our ability to remain faithful. Seek to overcome these challenges. Number 4, practical steps to cultivate faithfulness. Reflect on your commitments, pray for strength, and build a supportive community around you. Number 5, the fruit of faithfulness is peace and fulfillment. Living a life of faithfulness brings joy, deepens relationships, and fulfills God's purpose for us. Thank you for joining me today as we explored the virtue of faithfulness. I hope you feel inspired to deepen your commitment to God and to your calling. Until we meet again, live Jesus.